Hello everyone, welcome to Yarn Wonders. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to make this puff stitch bag. To make a puff stitch bag, we are going to start off with a magic circle. So here I'm using an acrylic yarn with a 4.5 mm crochet hook. So we are going to make a flat circle using puff stitches. Okay, so start off with a magic circle and a chain 3. So we're going to make the puff stitches into the magic circle. So there is a separate video on how to make a puff stitch, and there is a video on how to make a magic circle, and there is also a video on how to do a flat circle. So I'm going to link all these videos in the description box below. If you're a beginner and if you do not know to make any of this, I would recommend you to watch that video and then come back to this one. Okay, so I'm going to yarn over, insert into the magic circle, pull out a loop, yarn over, insert into the magic circle, pull out a loop, yarn over again and pull out a loop. Again, in this is a puff stitch, so you can choose to do 4 loops, 5 loops, or whatever number of loops that you want. I have made the one with 3 loops. So when you do 3 loops, you will have 7 loops on your hook. Okay, so once you got 7 loops, you have to hold the yarn like this, yarn over, pull out of all the loops here, and then insert into this loop. So again, you have 2 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull out of both the loops. So this is how you close a puff stitch. Okay, so then you're going to make a chain 1. This chain 1 is only for the first row and for whenever you increase a stitch. Okay, that is whenever you make 2 puff stitches. So again, I'm going into the magic circle, making my next puff stitch, closing it. Okay, and we are going to make 6 more like this. Let me just get that tangle out. We're going to make a total of 6 puff stitches. That is the first row. So just like any magic circle, I'm starting off with a 6 stitch magic circle. If you want, you can choose to do a 8 stitch magic circle as well. So chain 1, make the next puff stitch. Yarn over, pull out a loop. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 more to go. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this is the last puff stitch. So now we have 6 puff stitches into the magic circle. Now you can close the magic circle. Okay, and slip stitch on top of the chain 3. Right? So this is done. So this is the first row of our circle. Okay. Now again you're going to make 3 chains and turn your work. Now you're going to go into the space between the puff stitches, that is into the chain 1 space. Okay, yes, this is the chain 1 space. Yeah, you're going to make 2 puff stitches into each of these stitches. So as I told you, whenever you do 2 puff stitches in one loop or in one chain, you will be adding a chain 1 between those puff stitches. Okay. puff stitch, 2 puff. We have done the first increase. Okay, so now we are going into the next loop. Here there is no in between chain 1. We are just directly going into the next loop and we are making our next set of increase. Again, between 2 puff stitches, you are making, between the increase stitch, you are making a chain 1 and you are going to crochet. Again, again there is no chain 1 when you move to the next stitch. So this is the next increase. We are going to do the first puff stitch, chain 1 and do the next puff stitch into the same space. Do not chain 1, move into the next stitch and make the next increase stitch. Yarn over, pull out, yarn over, pull out, yarn over, pull out, and this is your first puff stitch, chain 1 and into the same stitch you're going to make the next one. Okay, so we have done 4 sets of increase and now I'm going into the 5th one without a chain 1. So between 2 increase stitches there is no chain 1, but between a puff stitch, increase puff stitch, there is a chain 1. So the chain 1 is basically to create the next increase stitch. Chain 1, 3, 4, 5, and this is the last increase stitch. So we have 6 sets of 2 puff stitches with a chain 1 in each of the 6 stitches from the previous row. Now again we are going to slip stitch into the chain 3 and this is the second row. The third row will be, you will be doing 1 normal stitch and into the puff increase stitch. So this is an increase. So in this chain space, you are going to make 2 puff stitches. So whenever you land into the chain 1 space, you will make 2 puff stitches. Otherwise, it is just 1 puff stitch. So this row will be 1 puff stitch and then 2 puff stitch into the same stitch. Again 1 puff stitch and 2 puff stitches. So when you make a 2 puff stitch, you have to chain 1 in between. Okay. So basically we have done with the first increase. Now I'm going into the second set of increase, which is going to be a 1 puff stitch in between. And you're going to go and make an increase. So this is same as the flat circle pattern. That is a single crochet flat circle pattern, and I'll try and post a double crochet pattern as well. So you'll basically be increasing in each row until you get the length you want. Let me just write down the pattern for you. So basically row 1 is 6 puff stitches, row 2 is 2 stitches in each separated by a chain 1, row 3 is 1 puff stitch, then 2 puff stitches separated by a chain 1 and repeat. Row 4 is 1 puff stitch, 1 puff stitch and then 2 puff stitches separated by a chain 1. So this is how the pattern will increase. If you watch the single crochet flat circle pattern, you will understand this better. I would recommend you to watch that if you're not aware of how to make a flat circle. So this flat circle is the base of a lot of patterns. So I'm going to continue making this, and I'll meet you back once I reach the end of the length that I want, or the size that I want. This is the size that I've made. Alright, so this kind of looks like a hexagon, but once you make it into a bag, it will look like a circle. Okay, so actually I've made 2 pieces like this, and now I'm going to show you how to attach it. So this stitch doesn't have a good side or a bad side. You can choose to use whichever side you want. I would prefer to use this side, which on the outer part of the bag, because I want this edge to attach the bag. Okay, so for the sides, I'm going to be making a puff stitch on a foundation chain. You can just make a double crochet row if you want, but because I want the whole bag to be in a puff stitch pattern, I'm going to make the sides as well using the puff stitch. There is a separate video on how to make a puff stitch on a foundation chain. Do watch that video as well, so that will be easier for you to understand the pattern. So to make the sides, you have to make a foundation chain to the circumference of the circle that you have made. Okay, so we are going to start off by making a foundation chain. I'll show you a small portion on how to do this. So you can also do to the width, but when you do to the width, you'll not be able to attach the sides to the sides of the bag. Okay, so we are going to make to the circumference of the bag. If you had washed the puff stitch on foundation chain, then you can also calculate the number of foundation chains needed. So you will be attaching into each of these puff stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there are 6 into 6, 36 puff stitches around. So you will need, each puff stitch will need 2 stitches, 2 foundation chains. So in total, you'll be needing a foundation chain of 72. So I'm going to just show you how to make this row. So once you have 72 chains on, you have to add 3 chains to the foundation chain. Okay, so I'm going to finish the foundation chain, and I'll meet you back once I get to the first puff stitch. So I've completed the foundation chain. I had to crochet more than 72 to complete the whole length of the bag, the whole circumference of the bag. So I have 103 stitches, 103 foundation chains. So here we are going to start making the puff stitch row, right? So I've already chained 3, so I have a total of 105 foundation chains. So I'm going to go into the 4th chain from the hook, and I'm going to make a puff stitch. Okay. In between each puff stitch, I'm going to do a chain 1 as well. Otherwise, it's not going to come out straight. So I'm not going to do a chain 1. I'm going to skip a chain. So I've made a puff stitch, skip 1, go into the next one, again make a puff stitch. Okay. So adjust the height of the puff stitch every time you make, otherwise it's not going to look even. So this is how you make a puff stitch. So I'm going to do this till the end of the row, and I'm going to make about 5 rows of puff stitches If you want to learn how to make this on foundation chain, there is a video in the description. You can watch that and then come back with the next part of this video, right? So I'll finish this and I'll meet you back once I'm done with the side part of the stitch as well. So as you can see, I've completed 4 rows of puff stitches to go around my the base of the bag. Okay, so now I'm going to connect the sides to this base. Okay, so show you how to do that. So you can choose to have whichever side as the front of your bag. I want this part to be the front, so I'm going to turn it the other side, and I'm at the last puff stitch. I've completed the last puff stitch. I'm just going to find a increase stitch. So this is an increase puff stitch, and I'm going to pick up the back loop from this and make a slip stitch. Now turn my work. All you have to do is pick up the back loop and the front loop from this and make a slip stitch. So you're just going to do a slip stitch till you connect the entire side of the bag. So you're just going to connect it like this. You're just going to leave one side open for the, just going to connect it throughout, and you are going to leave this part of it open. Okay, so I'll finish this and I'll meet you back at the end of the row. So I've attached one side of the bag to the base here. Now I'm going to show you how to attach the other side. As you can see, I've not attached this part of the hexagon. Okay, so this is going to be the closure for the bag. Okay, so I've not attached this. Now we're going to make a slip stitch. And a chain 1. And fasten off this side. Okay, so now this side is done. Now I'm going to attach the other part of the bag. Okay, like this. So again, make sure you start from the increase, that is wherever you have done 2 puff stitches, make sure you start from there, and we're going to attach a new yarn. Attach a new yarn to the end of the chain 3 here. So this is a puff stitch and this is the chain stitch here, chain 3 here. So we're going to insert a hook here and pick up the back loop from here. And now attach a new yarn and then continue working on the back loop and front loop of these 2 layers. I will finish this part and I will show you how to make the closure for the bag. So I've attached the other side as well. Now you can just make one chain stitch. I've already made a chain stitch as well. And you can just fasten off. Now for the closure, I'm going to attach a lining piece inside the bag and I'm going to attach a zip right here and clasp the bag over here. So I'll finish this and I'll show you how the bag looks at the end of it. So here I've stitched a lining cloth like this. Okay, and I've also stitched the zip for this. So all you have to do is attach this portion here and then attach the zip to it. I'll fix this and I'll show you how the end product looks. So we are done with the bag. So I've attached a zipper here. So because we have this lining like this, so it's easy for us to wash, and also it's easy for us to hide the yarn tails. So if there is a yarn tail like this, you can just insert your crochet hook and take it inside and hide it inside like this between the crochet part and the lining part. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you try out a bag like this, do tag me on Instagram at Soumya_yarn_wonders and subscribe to Yarn Wonders to learn more about crocheting. Thank you.